prospects this year. What's your schedule look like?
We've actually got a pretty tough schedule. We start off with a Columbus team, Central Crossing, on November the 23rd, and I got it here in front of me. And then we've got Circleville, and then we play Westerville North, which is a D1 school out of Columbus, and then Clinton Massey, which Clinton Massey has got a very good ball team. They're in our league. We tied with them, and we shared the league with them last year. So, but they will be the one to beat this year. Where they pretty much got everybody back. They lost their point guard, but they've got a little girl that comes in that can handle the ball pretty good. So they'll be the one to beat in our league.
All right. You mentioned Clinton Massey and some other teams. Girls basketball used to be just kind of an extra sport, I guess, so to speak, in school, but now it has kind of moved up almost equal with the boys.
Yeah, the girls programs around the state has really come a long ways. At Miami Trace now, our girls program, it was in 2010, I believe it was. I wasn't there at that time, but made it to the Final Four. But the girls programs, like you said, all over the state has come a long way. So I'm happy for the girls program.
All right. Well, tell us about the coaching staff on the Miami Trace girls basketball team.
Well, our head coach is Ben Ackley. He's been around for a while, coaching some girls, coached in the boys a little while. He coached at London High School for 2 years. He was the head coach there for the girls program, and he started turning that program around just in the 2 years he was there. And he got Miami Trace's jobs opened up, and that's where he started coaching at. And he kind of wanted to come back home here in Fayette County, and got a chance to do the girls' job, and that was last year. And I come along with him, and we got Jeff King. He's been in the program for a number of years. He was at middle school level there for quite some time with the girls, and done a phenomenal job there. So he come up, and he's our JV coach now. Okay. Of course, I'm helping Coach Ackley with the varsity, and we've got a new addition to our staff this year, Coach Overstake. Okay. Coach Overstake has coached for 35 years. He was at Greenfield for 35 years, and Coach Overstake's got over 500 wins. So we've really got a good addition to our program this year. He's going to help us, and he knows basketball.
Yes. After all those years, I'm sure his input and his insight is very valuable to the program.
Oh yes. We're picking it. We've been picking his brain all summer ever since he's decided to come to help us. What do you do in this situation? What would you do? And I'll tell you, he's very knowledgeable. And Coach Ackley is very, very knowledgeable. He's a good coach, but and I respect Coach Ackley, because I think a lot of coaches would probably be intimidated to bring somebody like that in to help. But Coach Ackley is confident enough that he can handle it.
Getting back to the girls, how early is early enough or too early to start kids, especially girls, into a basketball, an organized basketball type program? Should you start them out maybe young elementary school, or wait till later? What age is about the proper age to get girls started into learning the basketball fundamentals?
Well, here at Miami Trace, we start at second grade, and of course, at second grade they're still pretty weak, so right. we really have to work with them. But last year we had to start with the third grade, and we had a couple second graders come in, so we decided to go ahead and open up to the second graders. And and but we've got some people in place this year that's really going to help us. That knows a little bit of basketball, that will be able to help develop the young kids for us. Last year, being our first year, we didn't even really get hired till it was in late June, early July, and we just had so many things to try to put together. Both of us being new here at the school, so we kind of done a lot of it ourselves. The coaches done it, and this year we've put together a staff for the younger girls, and I think that's going to help us in the future.
Sure. It just enhances bringing them on down through, I guess you'd say, the pipeline of talent.
Yes. Miami Trace has always been known for their girls basketball program for a number of years. The former Coach Stutzman had done a really good job with the girls, and he's an excellent coach, and he moved on. I believe now he's an athletic director at New Lexington High School or middle school or someplace, I don't know, but he's done an excellent job with the program. So we're hoping to continue that tradition.
What are some of the first skills with these young girls that and the young boys too that you try to teach them?
Well, we just try to teach them the fundamentals, how to dribble the basketball, how to pass the basketball, and in the right form, trying to show them the right form of shooting. So many kids, when they're young, they want to shoot the ball, and they try to shoot the ball from their hip. And when I first started, well, I didn't when I first started, but when I come back coaching basketball 12 years ago, I believe it was, I started off in 7th grade, and I wouldn't let none of my 7th graders shoot a three-pointer because I just felt like they wasn't strong enough to get it there, and just form bad habits. And I guess each coach is different.
And as they get older, you still have to reinforce those skills and keep them focused on fundamentals, I'm sure.
Every day we work on fundamentals. Every day we work on ball handling, we work on our passing. It's just something that you can't quit. You quit for a little while and you can see it.
All right. What are in the SCOL? You mentioned Clinton Massey, of course, and I'm sure there's some other schools that are going to be tough opponents for you.
Yes, Greenfield has got 2 girls coming back. That's really good athletes. They'll be tough. Woods Courthouse going to have a good team. Hillsboro, Coach Moberly down there, he's really changed that program around. He's got some girls that's been in the program since they was freshmen. I believe they're juniors now, so they're going to be good. Of course, we got the addition of Chillicothe coming into our league this year, so I really don't know a whole lot about them. And then we got East Clinton that will be a good ball team.
In the SCOL, the SCOL's not only been known for football, but basketball has always been a big thing with all the schools that are in the SCOL, and Wilmington will be back very soon too, so that'll only make the league a little stronger. Yes,
Wilmington will join our league next year, and Wilmington always, like you said, in football, basketball, no matter what, they've always had a tradition of being a good sports school, so that'll help our league. With Chillicothe and Wilmington, Chillicothe coming this year, Wilmington coming next year, so of course we know. Of course, we lost Madison Plains and London. They went to the I forget which league they went to now, but
different league.
Yeah, and so the league's going to be from top bottom. I think will be competitive.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's an honor to have you here. And how many years have you been in coaching?
I started coaching basketball for the second go-around in 2001. I started off at Madison Plains, and I was there till last year I come to Miami Trace. I graduated from Miami Trace, and I actually coached Coach Ackley in baseball at Washington Courthouse, and so I've known Coach Ackley for a long long time, and so I when he found out that he might get the job, he asked, if I would be interested in coming in and helping him. I said, yeah, I would. To get back to my alma mater, and of course I live here in Fayette County, so
So you've had a lot of history here in the Fayette County area.
yeah, I coached. Trying to think what years it was, the baseball at Washington Courthouse, like 90s. I think it was from like 96 to 2001. I had to quit my baseball coaching because of a job, but it just didn't have time to do it. But with basketball, I was able to do it. So, yeah, I've coached, t-ball, little league, and I've been around. I like working with the kids.
Well, participating or coaching sports and being a part of sports gives you an opportunity to see young people grow up and their lives change, and you get to see how they mature with I guess the influence of sports and what influence you may have had on them.
Yeah, it's really good. You see, just last night, me and my wife was out eating, and there was a gal that was working there at the waitress. I coached her. I think she graduated in 2007 maybe, and she come up and give me a hug and was glad to see me, and that it makes you feel good, and it's good to go try to get to watch some of the girls that's played that's moved on. Our senior that graduated last year, she's at Tiffin. This November the 21st, we're going to be at we're going to go to Cedarville University. Tiffin comes in and plays Cedarville on November 21st. So as soon as practice is over, we're going to load the girls up and go over and watch her play.
Well, that'll be exciting for you. And so you go back maybe to the Miami Trace days of some of the Waddle boys and some of those guys.
Yep. I'm back. I graduated in 1974, and we had some good athletes back in. Pete Jones, he was a heck of an athlete. Of course, we got Art Sleester. He was a few years behind me, 4 or 5 years behind me. So we've actually Glenn Cobb played for Ohio State, linebacker. We've got his daughter is on our basketball team here. Great guy. So. Yeah, it's really neat. It's really nice to be able to look back and see that the girls that you've coached, that the boys that you've coached, and where they went, and run into them on the streets, and so.
You mentioned Art Sleester a little bit ago. I had a chance to not only watch Art play football, but I got to see him play basketball, and I thought he was every bit as good at basketball as he was at football. He was a pretty good ball player. He
was just an athlete completely all around. He actually played basketball at Ohio State one year. So that tells you what kind of athlete he was. Art's a good guy. I've known Art since I was a kid, so actually we grew up about 3 miles apart, so but
unfortunate some of the things that happened in his life, but yes, he was an incredible athlete, and really his athletic abilities really shone through at not only the high school level, but even at Ohio State.
Yes, he it's unfortunate. I said, I just talked to his mother just last couple months, and he's getting along really good. As good as could be. So, but he is a good athlete, and like I said, Glenn Cobb, he went to Ohio State, played. He was a linebacker up there. We've had some good athletes. Nathan Williams, he just graduated. He's with Miami Dolphins right now. So we've had Jeff Shaw from Washington Courthouse. He played baseball at Washington Courthouse and went on to the Reds, the Indians, and he ended up at the Dodgers. We've had quite a few athletes.
I think Jeff, does he live back in Courthouse around here now?
Yes, he does. He moved back here, and the family's pretty much never really left. But he still lives here in Washington Courthouse.
It's a great place, and Worcester Courthouse, Miami Trace area, and the whole SCOL for that matter has just been a great sports area. There's been a lot of incredible athletes in almost any sport that have came throughout the entire area.
Yes, it has. The SCOL, it disbanded there for a few years, and they got it back together, and I was glad that they did, because they've had some rich tradition in the SCOL.
Yeah, I remember any weeknight or in basketball or any Friday night in football, you could find a good SCOL battle anywhere in the area.
Yes. Right now, we got Clinton Massey in our league. That their football team is just tremendous. They think they'll be able to get pretty far again this year. So the SCOL just has had some good teams and a good everything in.
I know you're with the girls basketball team. Do you get a chance to look at any of the men's practices or their progress?
Yeah, last year we had the boys coach was Coach Stauffer, and we really worked together good. We done some he done some scouting for us, and we done had a good relationship with him. He has moved to South Carolina, I believe. Just recently got married, and we got Coach Pitcher back. Coach Pitcher there was a boys coach there for a few years, and he's back. He's going to be the head coach at Miami Trace boys this year. So Rob's a good guy. Get along real good with him, and he'll be good to work with, and so
it's great when you have not only just a coaching staff, but when you have an entire group of coaches that get along well and work together well, and you can kind of exchange ideas and exchange philosophies.
Yes, it is. It's like I said there last year, Coach Stauffer. We exchanged stuff. He took some of our plays. We took some of his plays. It's really good when the boys and the girls program can get together and get along that way and work together. Same way with scheduling. We had our schedule made out for November and didn't realize that Deidre was going to play on the 21st, and we was going to practice out late that night. So we talked to Coach Pitcher, and we're just going to flip-flop. We're going to go early so we can get out of there, and it makes it nice.
Sure. Tell us a little bit more about some of your starting girls and some of the girls that will get a lot of playing time.
Well, we've got 4 returning starters, 3 seniors and a junior, and we've got Abby Swank. She's our post player. She started for us last year and got she done really well. Ari Mabra, she's probably our 3 strong girl. She'll run through a brick wall for us. She's a tough girl. She shot the ball very well last year and really plays good defense. We got Josie Cobb, another senior. She is an excellent player. She's probably going to have to step up and take over our point this year for Deidre, and she actually we went to a couple camps this summer, and she's really done a good job, and I think she's going to be an excellent point guard. The other starter that started last year for us is back is Brooklyn. She is a junior, and she is another tough cookie. I can remember when I was at Madison Plains and we was playing in a JV tournament, and I was sitting on the bench with our JV coach, and she was a freshman, and she was just pushing one of our girls all the way around, and I thought right then she was going to be a good player. Then we got that 5th spot. We're still we got Kelsey Wilson. She's a senior. She had a real good summer. Ashley Henry. She's had a good summer. I'm trying to think. We got another senior, Heather Johnston. She helps with the football program, and so she. Then we've got a couple sophomores that got some minutes on the varsity last year. Lexi Swartz, she's another hard nose, and then Kyla Johnston. She's a sophomore. They got quite a bit of playing time for us last year, and we still got a couple of juniors. Taylor Kirkpatrick. She pretty much run the point a lot last year for our JV team. Then we got. Look here, I'm terrible with names. I'm in a game or something, and I'm trying to holler at one of the girls or something like that, and I can't think what their name is. I think sometimes I'm getting some kind of Kara Walters. Okay. Kara she come from a family that was, rich in sports.
Sure.
She's a big gal, post player, and she'll give you everything she got when she's in there.
Great.
And then we got Harmony. She'll be one of our guards. Mm-hmm. And then Anna Piper. She's another one of the guards. She's hurt right now. She's got some ankle problems, but we're hoping to have 8 or 10 that we can go deep on the varsity program.
Well, that's important when you have depth, and you can get people in and out and get them some rest and keep them fresh during the game.
Yes, it is. We had that. That's what we done last year. We had some subs that we could put in there. We had the 2 freshmen that we could put in. Kelsey Wilson, Ashley Henry, Kyla. It makes it good that you can give somebody. If you give somebody a couple minutes, it really refreshes them.
Oh, sure. And you mentioned the point guard position. It's really key to have maybe at least a couple of people that you can change in and out on the point guard to run the offense for you.
Yes, we've got some people that will be able to run when Josie needs a break. Brooklyn, she'll be able to run it. Ari, she'll be able to handle the ball some. So it makes it nice when you've got a few players that can play different positions.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming. Hope you get to stick around and have a nice meal here at the Rusty Keg, and we appreciate you coming by, and best of luck with Miami Trace girls varsity basketball.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll let you go, and I'm going to run down a few scores on football from last night, and then we'll get our next guest in here. We want to start off Bainbridge Paint Valley 22, Piketon 9. And as we go on to the next page, we have Centerville 31, Beaver Creek 29. Chillicothe defeated Lee's Creek East Clinton 28-0. East Clinton hanging pretty tough with Chillicothe, but did not get on the scoreboard. Circleville 20, Baltimore Liberty Union 14. Clinton Massey, in a game we had last night, Clinton Massey defeating Miami Trace 42-7. Columbus DeSales, who defeated Clinton Massey earlier, Columbus DeSales 34, Cincinnati LaSalle 6. So DeSales doing real well. Frankfort Adena 24, Chillicothe Unioto 6, and we'll be ready here in a moment for our next guest. So Grove City defeating Lancaster 32-8. Hamilton Ross 21. Morrow Lentil Miami 0. Jackson 27. Greenfield McLean 0. Jamestown Greenview 56. South Charleston Southeast 0. And Mount Orab Western Brown 66, Batavia 26, and a couple of more pages full of scores here, and then we'll get our next guest in. We had Wilmington 9, Talawanda 6, and I believe We have one more score if I can get to it here on the page. All right. Springboro 41, Xenia 17. That rounds out our list of scores. And I'm ready for our next guest whenever Tom South will turn him loose. So, Billy Ray, we're ready anytime you are. So, let's get Billy Ray on here in just a moment. Billy Ray Anders from Sabina, Ohio. And we'll get him in here as our next guest, and he's got a wonderful story to tell about playing for Coach Woody Hayes, and we will get him on. We're going to have him go with this story from start to finish. Come on in here, young man.
Thank you, sir.
How are you, Billy Ray?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Don't let that guy over there wear you out today. He's your biggest supporter, I guess, Tom South. He knows, as you said, he probably knows more about you than you do.
That's it. When I want to know when I've done something or what I did in the past, I just ask Tom. He can tell me everything about me that I don't know.
We're talking to, most of you know, Billy Ray Anders. And tell us, you played for Coach Woody Hayes, and we'll get to all that story coming up. But you were not even a football player in high school. So take us from Sabina School, how you got from there to Ohio State University. It's an incredible story.
Well, that and sometimes ignorance is bliss. Sabina, of course, didn't have a football team, but I actually had a baseball scholarship to go to Ohio State. But the baseball scholarship didn't start till the spring. So I thought you play football in the fall, you play baseball in the spring. So I had the fall quarter and winter quarter with nothing to do. So I thought, well, let's just play football. I'll try out for the team. I liked football. Thought it was a great game, and was a big kid. And I said, okay, let's just go do that. The ignorance part of it was I had no idea who Woody Hayes was, had no clue to his reputation, to how it was, had no clue what Big Ten football was or Ohio State football or any of the rivalry or anything about what I was trying to do. And basically I was trying to do something that had never been done. A kid that never played high school football, going up there and playing football. So I just went up to Woody Hayes and asked him, could I try out for the football team? Woody looked at me, and like I told you earlier, he said, my neck's too long and I'll look like Andy Gump. And I did both. I learned the neck injury comes when your neck's too long. Andy Gump was a cartoon character in the 40s, and I certainly looked like that for the first few weeks out there. But he said yes. The second unusual thing was that it had never been done, but no coach would ever do that. If you didn't have high school experience or any experience playing football, they would not let you play. Think of all the recruits that they have, all the scholarships, the high school All-Americans. There was really no reason that anybody can think of as to why Woody would let me do this. Other than as a 6'2", 190-pound kid, I guess he thought I looked like I could do it. But that was one of the two unusual things. Never been done, and no coach had ever let a kid play on the thing. So he said yes. I went to the practice, and that's when the fun started. I was doing great. I had no problems thinking I could play the game. My only thought through the whole process was, when was I going to be a starter? It never occurred to me that I couldn't do anything else until I opened the locker up and saw all the equipment in there and realized I didn't know where any of it went. So I'm standing in front of the locker, and I knew the shoulder pads went on my shoulders, I knew the helmet went on last, and I knew the pants went on where pants go. So I threw my shoulder pads on and put my pants on, trying to not look like a kid that had never dressed in football equipment before. And then I would peek out of the corner of my eye to everybody else as they got dressed, and I would try to imitate what they were doing. So the first thing I saw was a guy in the locker next to me put on his hip pads. So I had to take my pants off, put my hip pads on, and I put my pants back on. Then I looked over and I saw a kid put his rib pads on. So I take my shoulder pads off, put my rib pads on. Then they put the thigh guards in. Take my pants off, put the thigh guards in, put my pants back on. Then they put the knee pads in. Take my pants off, put the knee pads in, put the pants back on. And about this time, it started a sequence that occurred a lot in the first year. The guy in the locker next to me looked over at me and he says, "Have you ever played this game before?" And I told him no. And he said, "Well, if you don't turn your thigh guards around, it'll be your last day of football too." I even had the pads in backwards.
Oh my.
But I was so intent on getting the equipment on, it all buckled, it laced, it tied, you form-fitted it to yourself through all the lacing and the buckling and the thing. I was just so intent on getting the equipment on that I didn't tie anything, I didn't lace anything, I didn't buckle anything. Put my helmet on and I ran out the field. I had the shoulder pads on wrong, the rib pads weren't tied up. I couldn't lift my left arm, and I couldn't see anything out of the top of my head. Couldn't see above my head for anything else. And I can remember clear as day running out on the field the first day wondering how these guys play this game.
Yeah.
Couldn't lift my arms, couldn't see anything. And I played like that for several weeks. The coaches didn't know who you were. If you weren't a recruited ball player, they really didn't know who you were, and you just had your name on your helmet out there. And I said it started a sequence. About every day at some point in time, a coach would call me over, and he would say, "Have you ever played this game?" intending to intimidate the ball player, because there's nobody out there that has never played the game except me. So I would look at them and I would say no. Well, they thought I was just being a smart aleck and send me back out in the field on the thing. Until finally, several weeks later, the equipment manager, a fellow named Ernie Biggs, called me over to the sideline and he asked the same question. He said, "Have you ever played this game before?" And I said no. And Ernie looked at me and he says, "Well, I believe you." He took me in the locker room and he showed me how to put all this gear on, fasten it, lace it, buckle it. And I ran back out on the field and I said, "Oh man, this is great. I can lift my arms, I can run, I can do everything I could." I still couldn't see out of the helmet, so when they would throw a pass to me, I looked like Igor or Frankenstein because I was bending my head way back trying to see it. But Ernie started watching me then, knowing that I really hadn't played it. And he called me over and he says, "Can you see normally out of that helmet?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I never had one on. What's normal?" And he said, "Can you see anything above your head?" And I said, "Nope, can't see above my head." So we started modifying the helmet. And if you stop and think about it, there's 10 million kids play football,
right.
And I've got a head you can't fit a helmet to. So first thing they did was cut a notch in the helmet so I could see out of the thing. That worked fine till I hit the ground the first time, and it laced my head wide open, eyebrow to eyebrow. So they tried padding it. That didn't work. And finally, they had to modify the whole interior of the helmet. Special made just so I could get a helmet on.
For you.
So finally got the helmet running good. And then when they got it fit, I had a double bar mask. When the helmet was on properly, now the double bar was up in my eyes, and when the ball came down, it would go through that double bar mask, and it would lose track of the ball. I couldn't see it. So I said, "Okay, Ernie, we got another problem here. We got to figure out how to do this." And I said, "But I'm getting a little smarter by this time." The double mask was fastened on with 2 screws, one in front of the other on the sides of the helmet. I told him to just cut me a 1/2-inch slot on that back screw. So he cut the slot, and if you look at the pictures, what I would do if I was blocking, I could push the mask up across my nose and eyes. But if I was going out for a pass, just as I would get on the line, I would pull that mask clear down. And if you look at the pictures of me catching a pass, that mask is clear under my chin. That's the way down. So I finally got the helmet, got dressed and everything else. And the end of this story, when people ask me how long it took me to finally go on the field fully and properly dressed, I tell them 3.5 years before I finally got out there. The last part of it was we were getting dressed for a game, don't remember where. I had one shoe and sock on, and I was just about to put the other sock on, and Woody Hayes walked past me and asked me, looked down, and he said, "Are you going to get your ankles taped?" And And of course I had that dumb look that I don't know what you're talking about up at him, and then he asked, have you ever taped your ankles? And I says, no, Coach, there's nothing wrong with my ankles. I thought only guys with bad ankles got their ankles taped. Yep. It never occurred to me that everybody on that team had bad ankles, because everybody got them taped. So he sent me up to the training room to get my ankles taped. Now, the trainers that taped your ankles were different than the trainers that were on the field. The training room was upstairs. In 3.5 years, I'd also never been in the training room. I didn't know you were supposed to go to the training room. So when I go in, now we're getting ready to go out on the field to play a team. I go in the training room, and nobody's ever seen me in there before.
Yeah.
They think I'm an imposter. They call the security guards to escort me out thinking I'm an imposter. I'm yelling, get Coach Hayes, because I'm starting. So one of them finally says, well, maybe we better do this. So they go get Coach Hayes, and Coach Hayes walks back in with me and asks the trainers, he said, you don't know who this is? And they said, no, Coach, we've never seen him. He looked at me and I said, I've never been in here, Coach.
Yeah.
Said, this is your starting left end for 1.5 years and you don't know who he is. And I said, no, I've never been here. I've never had my ankles taped. And finally, after 3.5 years, I taped my ankles and I was ready to go on the field for the first time, fully and properly dressed.
Oh, my land. Oh boy, that's an incredible story. How long did it take when you started going to practice after walking on? Did you, I guess, officially meet Coach Hayes?
Oh, I met Coach Hayes before I ever got on the field, in the room in his office to ask him to play. I did not have any contact with him until I was a sophomore, except the first week of practice. I had a class that I had to get a note signed by Coach Hayes to change that class because it interfered with practice. I had to get another time for that class. The varsity dressing room was upstairs. The freshman dressing room was downstairs. The freshmen always came in before the varsity, so we were in and dressed and out before the varsity ever came in. When I came in, I got dressed and left, and then remembered I had to have that note, so I turned around and went back just about the time the varsity's coming in, and I heard this ruckus upstairs, and I thought, oh boy, a couple of big varsity boys are getting into it up here. This ought to be interesting to watch. So I stepped up the stairs until I could see over the top of it, and here's a pair of feet dangling in the air, another foot holding them up there. And when I got a little higher, here's Woody Hayes holding a 6'6", 240-pounder up in the air, and yelling at him about certain things. Take your glasses off, such and such, and I'll kill you.
Oh my!
And that was really the first time I saw Woody Hayes in action. And of course, after that, we saw a lot of him in action. But I turned around and crept back down the stairs, and that was the first time I wondered what had I gotten myself into. It was a little bit of a scary start on it. But with Woody, he was a hard man to understand. There's two Woody Hayeses, one off the field and one on the field. The one off the field would do anything in the world to help you, give you anything, do whatever he could to better your life. The one on the field was a volatile volcano. You never knew what was going to set him off. He would see you do something, and he would think back 10 years that cost him a ball game, and he would just explode. Mm-hmm. The scary part of anybody, you can deal with anybody if they're consistently the same all the time, good, bad, indifferent, mean or nice. But when you're totally unpredictable and you don't know what they're going to do and what sets them off to do that, then it gets to be kind of a scary situation. It took me about 2 or 3 years to learn what it took to get along with the Woody Hayes. And one is you don't argue with him. Right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever he says, just say yes, sir, and go on. And the second most important thing is you don't make a mistake. Do your job, do it right, don't make the mistake and hustle all the time, and Woody will not get on your case too bad about that. We even got to the point to where we could discuss football, and I could actually change a few things, correct a few things, because I didn't make mistakes, and I hustled all the time. In fact, that's how I probably got the job in the first place. An interesting sidelight, I was going up against 2 high school All-Americans and their coach who came with them. Those boys were smarter football players, more experienced, I should say. All wide receivers, so you could throw a ball. If the quarterback threw the ball, those guys could tell almost in the time it left the quarterback's hand whether they could get to the ball or not. So if they couldn't get to it, they saved energy and quit running. Pretty smart thing to do. Poor old dumb Bill didn't know whether he could get to the ball or not. When he'd throw the ball, I'd just run hard, and sure enough, it might be a foot too long or 2 feet too long, but I wouldn't quit running because I hadn't learned yet to judge it in the air as to whether I could get to it or not. Eventually, I learned to do that, but even then, I wouldn't quit. I always thought, well, maybe there'll be a gust of wind, or maybe there'll be a hand somewhere that'll help bring that ball down, so I wouldn't quit running for the ball. And I got the reputation of being a hustler and a guy that wouldn't quit. And actually, I think that was more what got me the starting position than anything else. It wasn't talent. These guys were just as good as I was and twice as fast, but I wouldn't quit running. And that reminds me of an example of that. If I got a little more time here.
Keep going.
We were playing Illinois, and we were on about the I guess 8 or 10 yard line somewhere in that neighborhood, trying to get it in the end zone. And the coach called a pass play to me over the middle. I ran the pattern, was open, and I saw Billy Long at that time throw the ball, and as soon as he let go of it, I knew it was over my head. So I jumped as hard as I could, and sure enough, it was about 2 feet out of my reach. Couldn't get it. Went back to the huddle. He called the same play again. Ran the same pattern, same result. As soon as he let it go, and it was over my head. Jumped as hard as I could and couldn't get to that ball. Went back the third time, and he called the same play a third time.
Oh boy.
Now, this is highly unusual for Woody Hayes. Three passes trying to get in the end zone, but when ran the pattern and Billy let go of the ball, I saw it again. It was over my head, same place the other two were. And I said, okay, give it all you got, jump. Just as I jumped, the linebacker behind me, who'd been getting closer every time, gave me a big push right in the butt and pushed me up 2 feet and got me to that ball. So you never know when you might get a little extra hand in there. Yeah. So I would never quit on a ball. And I ran through bleachers and chairs and goal posts, but I just would not quit until me and that ball was on the ground. And the coaches liked that. To them, that was a hustler and a fighter. So that's how I think I got the starting position on the thing. And then Woody and I got along pretty well. A couple of scary moments, I would say. In the beginning, early on, 65, the wide receivers ran the plays in. We would alternate every play, which I didn't quite understand that because the wide receivers run further than anybody else, so I don't know why we were running the plays in. But anyway, I would go to the sideline, Woody'd give me the play, and I'd run the play in, and then I'd come out the next one, and the other receiver would go in and carry the play in. And we were playing somebody, and I don't remember who it was now, but Woody was trying to run the ball down their throat. Right up the middle, 2 times, and just getting stopped. And I looked out there when I got on the line of scrimmage, and I could see 9 defenders within 4 yards of the ball.
Oh boy!
You're not going to run that ball up the middle. So I decided, well, okay, let's just do a little trickery here. Woody gave me the play to run it up the middle, and I changed it to a pass. So I ran the pass, and fortunately we gained about 40 yards on that pass because it was wide open. The whole team was up there on the ball. So I come back to the sideline, and I was scared to death. My legs were shaking because this would get you killed with a Woody Hayes. So I came back to the sideline, and Woody said, "Did I call that play? Did I call that play?" And I said, "Well, of course you did, Coach. Who else would call that play?" And I mean, my voice was shaking, my legs were shaking, I was scared to death. So later on in that same game, the situation come up again. We were on about the 6-yard line, trying to ram it down their throats into the end zone. And I looked over, and there was 9 guys up within 4 yards of that ball again. And I said, "We're never going to run this thing in." So I changed the play again. I said, "Well, okay, I lived through it the first time. Let's see if I can live through it twice." So I changed it to a slant pass. We scored a touchdown. I come back to the sideline. Woody never said a word. The next play, the next series going in there, the tackles are carrying the plays in. The wide receivers never carried another play in for him. He knew good and well he didn't call that play.
Yeah, that's bad.
So,
yeah, that's great. Oh, yeah. He doesn't want to tell that story today. All right. Okay. You had to change mouthpieces?
Well, back then we had a mouthpiece that was form-fitted to your teeth, not like what they're wearing today. It would absorb the worst of the blows, but it would not absorb an extreme blow, and I took an extreme blow. This is where my face mask got me in trouble. It was on either a punt coverage or some play like that, maybe kickoff maybe, and had George Webster at Michigan State was a rover back, and I had the mask pulled down under the chin, and the punt was in the middle of the field. I was going down the outside for outside containment. Play wasn't anywhere near me, and George came over and put 2 fists right up under that face mask, and it hit me so hard it didn't break the teeth, but it broke the nerves in them. And that started a series that now, 50 years later, I wear an upper plate that started that series in there. So sometimes you can take a blow, and that it was kind of the way it got to going. After the junior year, where I caught 55 passes and set the record, the senior year I went out, everybody was taking the shot at me. They knew if they could stop me, they could stop the passing game. So it was rare that I went off the line and I didn't have at least 2 guys on me, and most of the times 3 trying to stop it. And it was a lot more difficult to catch a ball in the senior year than it was the junior year. So, but football can get rough at times, and George cost me my teeth.
Well, I'm sure he may have cost a few other people a little misery too. You talk about some of the players that you played with at Ohio State as you were, I guess, coming in and getting started, and then we want to get up to here in a little bit, talk about Rex Kern and meanest guy maybe had ever played football, Jack Tatum. We want to get to that, but let's talk about some of the early players that you started when you came to Ohio State.
Actually, I got one tougher than Jack that I played with as a linebacker, but the quarterback when I first started was a guy named Don Umberfirth. Don was about 6'4", well over 200 pounds. And Don had a unique way of throwing the ball. His middle finger, ring finger, and little finger would be on the threads of the ball. His index finger would be on the tip of the ball, which means he threw an extremely tight spiral, and he threw it like a bullet. He is the only one on Mondays when we would have a t-shirt and shorts day. It's just a light workout. After catching a couple of Don's balls and just t-shirts, I went back in and I put my pads on. He could throw the ball hard enough to hurt me, make my arm go numb. So we had him as a quarterback. Was an excellent quarterback. We had Tom Barrington as a running back in there. Arnie Chonko was a defensive back. He knocked me out in the field. But the toughest guy I saw playing was a guy named Ike Kelly. Ike was a linebacker, and back then the crackback block was legal, and that's where the wide receiver comes in at a side angle to a linebacker and takes him out. And of course, the linebacker's coming out sideways; he's not looking. So you can take out a knee, break a leg. You can hurt a ball player very easily with a crack back block. The reason they don't do it anymore. Well, the first time we ran this in practice, my job was to crack back on Ike Kelly. And I'm thinking, well, you know, you can hurt somebody, so I don't want to hurt him. So I hit him high. Well, Ike just ran over me, and I looked up, and I said, he don't even know I hit him. He's still going. Oh, boy. So we ran the play again, and I said, this time I'm taking him out. I'm taking his knee, his leg, his everything. I'm giving everything I got. I hit Ike as hard as I could hit him with a shoulder right in the side of the knee. He rolled me over, kept going. I looked up, and I said, he still don't know I hit him. I don't think he ever did know I hit him, and that was a 200-pound shot right in the side of the knee. Wow. So he was pretty tough, but in the 64 team, they had some tough boys in there. Tom got a collapsed lung in one game, so it was pretty rough back in then. And 65, 66, we started bringing in some guys. We had Jim Otis in there in 67. And Bo Ryan was our running back. Rudy Hubbard, who's coached down in Florida for a long time, was a running back. Paul Hubbard out of Pennsylvania, he was about as tough running back as there was. And I forgot one of the more important ones, Paul Warfield. Oh, yeah. Paul was my introduction to speed. My job on punts was outside containment, to go down the sideline and make sure nobody got outside of me. And we were practicing, and Paul was the receiver for the punt. And I thought, well, and he started down the middle of the field, and I thought, well, I can cheat in 4 or 5 yards, and he can't get around me. Well, I cheated in, and he went around me faster than a blazing train before I could even turn around and do anything. And that was my first introduction to real speed. I knew then how much speed he had and how much I didn't have. Yeah. And that's about, I can't think of any of the others except some of the big linemen. Dave Foley, Ray Pryor, Mike Current, played with Miami and Denver for years and years. Rufus Mays was the big tight end up in Cleveland. Rufus was our tight end, and I have a picture of Rufus at home where his hands and fingers are interlaced, his thumbs are touching, and the ball's in the middle of all of that. That's how big his hands were. In fact, he's so big that he went to Cleveland, they made a tackle out of him. Yeah. He was a big boy. I can't remember some of the others from that time.
Well, while we still have a little time, let's move on to the later era with as you were, I guess, in your last year or two, and some of the new guys were coming on, like Jack Tatum and Rex Kern and those guys, and you guys were the, I guess you'd say, the incumbent football players, and these young guys came in and kind of woke you up a little bit.
They did more than wake us up. They shocked us to oblivion. We knew then just how slow we were and how good they were. Between Rex and Jack Tatum, Jan White, John Brockington, it was like night and day, the difference between our team and their team. And I say ours and theirs because they were a whole different world. They were the introduction to the speed in the game of football. Those guys were so fast that every year we have a spring game. And the spring game, at that time, freshmen couldn't play varsity ball. It was always the varsity against the freshmen and showcase what the varsity is going to be like for people that would come in the stands just like they do today. And traditionally, always, the varsity just beats up on the freshman team, and it looks like you got a great team coming up. At halftime, Woody Hayes took the jerseys off us varsity boys, put them on the freshman team, and sent that freshman team out looking like the varsity. They were kicking our tails so bad that Woody didn't want them to know that this was not even the team that was going to play out there with that guys. But guys like Rex was a magician with the ball. You had receivers that were running the first 4 or 5 40-yard dashes. I was a 4.9 40-yard dash. A 4.9er versus a 4.5er in a 40-yard dash means he's going to beat me by about 10 yards in 40 yards.
We're going to be close.
It's not going to be close. And they had a team full of these speedsters coming in there with Big Jim Otis in the backfield. They were just a master, and of course they went on and won 22 straight games and 27 out of 29 for the next year. We had the first 4 wins, by the way, of that 22-game streak. But it was pretty clear at the time what the new era of football was going to be. These guys were fast, they were big, and they were strong, and we couldn't stay on the field with them. If that bunch would have come in the same time I did, I would have never seen a uniform. Couldn't stay on the field with them.
Well, now we need to talk about Jack Tatum. Your introduction to Mr. Tatum, he kind of rattled you a little bit.
Jack was the guy that covered me every day in practice. I could play anybody, and I rarely knew who hit me or how I was hit. I would be concentrating on catching a ball, and the next thing I know is I'm getting up off the ground. I couldn't tell you how I was hit or how I got tackled or anything else. The concentration on catching the ball was that strong until I ran into Jack Tatum. Jack was the only one that every time he hit me, I could tell you who hit me. He had a knack in that last foot or two before tackle of just exploding like a stick of dynamite, and he could rattle your teeth. Jack was a great person, a good football player, but he had some special knack that he could just explode on you and rattle your teeth in there, and I had to go up against him every day, and we would come off that field bloody because I couldn't get away from him. I was going to take that hit, but I would catch it and he'd be right there, and I would get up off the ground hurting and bloody, and had to put up with him for a whole year doing that. but Jack he just had a knack. Don't know exactly what it was, but a few ball players in football have a knack to tackle, and he was one of them that had them.
Well, he certainly went on to a great pro career, and a lot of people felt what you felt playing against him too when he hit them. He was just an intimidating football player on the football field. How much, and I know you didn't play in high school, but through college and what you see today, how much has the game of, say, college football changed in that period of time?
Well, I'll put that like Jack Nicklaus talking about Tiger Woods. He plays a game I'm not familiar with. The game of football today is totally unfamiliar to the way we played it. There's a lot of rule changes that have made it harder and easier. When I was a receiver, the defensive back couldn't hit you but one time. And after that, he had to keep his hands off of you, so it made it a lot easier to catch the pass. Today, as long as they're in front of the defender, they can keep hitting them and banging them and making it a lot tougher. I watch these guys catch balls now that just amaze me, and I keep thinking, I said, could I have caught that ball? And most of the time I said, no, I don't think I could have. I really don't know how they catch them. But the speed of the game has increased so much, and the size of the game, these players. We have a captain's dinner now every year where old past captains go up and we intermingle with the team. And we had that last Friday night. And I went up and what felt like dwarf among giants. These guys are all 6'6", 300 pounds, just huge guys for the most part in there. Tight ends, wide receivers, they're all bigger than I am now, and yet they're twice as fast. Mm-hmm. So if you take that much speed and that size and you start banging heads in there, somebody's going to get hurt. And of course they have the problem of concussions now and how to handle all of that. And that's a direct result of just that much more mass running into each other out there. But the game itself is entirely different. It's gone to the run and shoot type game, widespread offense that wasn't real prevalent back when we played, and they're having to deal with the game now on how not to get hurt rather than going at it. One of the rules we had when I played was if you could hit the guy harder than he hit you, you weren't going to get hurt.
Right.
And that proved true. Nowadays, they can't quite do that. They can't stick their head in there, and they can't take the best position to make a tackle or take the blow, and they're more exposed. So the game has to change a little bit to figure out how can we play this game without just killing everybody or getting hurt. And coupled with the speed and the size of it, it's a game that I would have never have been a part of because I wouldn't have come close to being fast enough. And the other thing I don't understand, when they told us in college, speed is the only thing you cannot improve. When you come out of high school, you're as fast as you're ever going to be. There's no exercises, no conditioning that you can do to make yourself faster. The one thing that they can't improve. So I wonder, how do these guys get bigger and get faster than we could if you can't do something about it? What makes a guy faster now than it was back in the 60s when we played? So it's a totally different game. Interesting in some points. I hate to see some other parts of it. I think the guys are really going to be safer if they just let them go ahead and hit. Once they start this, you can't put your head in there other than the obvious head-to-head contacts on it, but you're going to start seeing shoulder injuries, back injuries, leg injuries where they're going to try to tackle from a safe position, and there's no safe position to tackle from. The rule still stands. If you can hit him harder than he hits you, you're not going to get hurt. So hopefully they'll figure it out somehow.
Well, I've got one final question, and this is all Buckeye and has been all morning, but the Buckeyes are shooting for that 22-0 record. Do you think they can make it this year?
Yes, I think they can. They got to make a few adjustments on the thing, and they need a little bit of luck to do this. Just like Penn State coming up, their whole game depends on their quarterback. He can look awful or he can look great on it, and if we can put pressure on the quarterback, they'll win the game. If we can't, he'll pick us apart with the passes. And down to the Michigan game, I don't see a lot of problem, even though Purdue always has a knack for giving us a problem on the thing. But Michigan is developing very fast this year, and the quarterback will be the trick of the game there. They got an excellent quarterback. He's progressing very fast on it. So I don't see anybody we can't beat. I don't see anybody we should lose to, so I'm expecting them to run the table again this year and keep right on going. They've got I think it's like 12. I got 5 seniors on the offense, so they're only going to lose 5 there. Got 10 defensive boys are going to lose. I don't know how many are starters on it. But when you look down the line at the backups that they got coming in, they got like 40% of their team is freshmen. And these are some big, fast boys coming in. So if they get through this year, I just see them getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And Urban Myers has a knack for getting the best out of those boys that can be done. So if it can be done, they'll do it, and I think they're going to run the table.
All right. Well, we didn't get to probably all the questions that I had, but we could spend a whole day on Bo and Woody probably, because that was one of the greatest rivalries in college sports, and we'll do that again another day. Billy Ray Anders, it has been an enormous pleasure to have you here, and we thank you so much, and we thank our buddy Tom South for getting their connections made. This has been the SCOL College SCOL Coaches Show, live from the Rusty Keg here in Washington Courthouse, and they have got the patio enclosed. You can come up here and eat out in the patio and enjoy all the food and fun and festivities here, and we invite you to come up. 1801 Columbus Avenue, Washington Courthouse. Beautiful place. It is gtvr.net right on your internet and your computer. So we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Friday night from Little Miami High School in Morrow, Ohio, with Little Miami and Wilmington. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time. And that's it from the Rusty Keg in Washington Courthouse.